Hello. Good morning. Um, Good evening. Good afternoon. Good morning. I am coming in here on this camera to make again another video, like I always do. And I want to send greetings. I just want to say that now it's been almost 3 months of me recording the videos every single day. So it's been quite some times, and every time I record a video, I always observe the changes. I observe progress. I observe, motivations. Sometimes I don't do much during the day. Like I've been trying to figure out which research paper to work on for this semester as a final. I don't seem to have an idea. I'm thinking about, should I do quantitative analyst? Should I do quantitative finance? Should I do like international issues, right? Or should I just pick one of the topics in my classroom? Like I've been just thinking about so many things, and it's been really hard to pick which one to work on. But all of that being said, I just do not give up, because I know that every single day I have a discipline of recording a video, which doesn't cost me much. But that discipline, that sense of coming in here and saying something, even if what I say might not make sense, might not, just make sense to anybody out there, it just reinforces me to do this every single day. So I don't feel bad for making these videos. But anyways, if you made this far, if you watched all my videos, I really appreciate it. If you haven't, please check them out. There's a ton of them. They show how I've progressed, and it's only been 3 months. And this is so much better than having a PhD. There are people out there who have PhDs, people out there who have like huge amount of money, rich, successful, but they don't know how to express it. Some people have success and they choose to go to bars, drink, fight, right? For me, I don't have success, but I have the ideas. I have something to share to the world, and also, sort of like document my progress. But anyways, that being said, today is November 13. Yeah, today is November 13. Let me make sure I'm correct. I am 100% correct. And that being said, they said the federal government, the Senate, the Congress, the House, they have finally passed the bill. And today around 8:40, I received a notification from Associated Press that Donald Trump, the former and the current president of the United States, chief of command, has just signed the bill. So the bill has passed after 43 days, one of the longest shutdown, and the bill has been signed, and it's going to be effective until January. So it's been a battle. It's been really tough. There's been so much effects. I could have studied about the effect of the shutdown, but I don't have time for that. Then there's no benefit in studying that. But anyways, I want to talk about the bill for a moment. But before I go to that far, I want to say that today I was formatting on my SD cards, because I was trying to set up my camera in my car, and I was also setting up the camera over here. So I'm trying to set this camera on so it stays on all the time. As you can see me, this is my GoPro over here. But I was trying to set this camera on, and unfortunately I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to set everything up. I got this camera right here from my brother-in-law, and as a gift, so I appreciate it, but I haven't used it for a while. So today I was thinking, I would think about like utilizing the cameras that I have. I have almost 4 cameras, including the GoPro. All of them I got them like long time ago, like 3 years ago, but I've never used any of them, like none, until I realized that the GoPro does everything I need and it makes good footages. So I've been really thankful. I've been grateful for this GoPro. But all other cameras, if I keep them here, they're gonna get damaged, right? And I'll never use them. So I was thinking, I have another camera in my car, which it's on the top, like it's like it records the road and everything. That camera doesn't work, and it doesn't work because of the SD card. So when that's like 2 years, I bought like 2 years ago when I was in California, because I didn't want to get hit and have no evidence. So I tried to set up with the phone and everything, and it couldn't work because it failed setup. So I gave up for a while, and then today I was thinking, why can't I just go and fix the camera, right? Just fix it. Just, you don't have to use it, but just fix it. So I went in there and I put the SD card in there. The SD card says needs formatting. Now when I do, the reason why I couldn't record is because every time I use the GoPro camera, I had bad settings in it, and the videos will be lagging, bad footages, terrible, and so I would give up because I didn't know how to set up. I look for YouTube videos and look it up. People have all kinds of videos out there that they are really confusing. So one time I asked ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like awesome. So I asked ChatGPT and he gave me some recommendations, and just like that, boom, started recording, and it worked. So it's been amazing. Since then, I've not touched my GoPro. It does the same thing, 180 p, whatever that is, the settings, everything's the same. I use the same SD card, the same thing. Now today, when I was formatting the card, all the SD cards, I realized that I had some footages. Some I recorded them when I was in California hiking. These footages are already in the YouTube video. They're already in the YouTube channel. My other YouTube channel, which is private, is where I have like all the educations and their videos. But that one is not public. It's private. It's for people, my friends who don't want to go in public. This is just for me, talking stuff on here. Now, then another SD card had videos that I recorded when I was driving for Flex. I was doing Flex and like Uber thing, Flex for Amazon. These videos were filmed in Charlotte, North Carolina. So anyway, so when I kept formatting and I saw these videos, and I was amazed because I was playing Italian music at the time. This was like last year. I was practicing Italian. I was learning Italian. I was really like involved into it. Right now I just gave up. But I was practicing Italian. I was, I think I need to do more. Like I need to practice Italian even more. Because I took Italian class in my undergrad. Then I realized it's waste of time, waste of money. I dropped out, and I realized I dropped out the class. I withdrew the class. Is it withdrew or drop? No, I dropped the class, and then I thought maybe if I was, I don't need the Italian class. I can, if I wanna learn, I can teach myself, right? Like I learn English. Yes, English is part of what I learn in school, but speaking wise, I just have to practice talking to people, and I learn many other dialects by just talking to people, not necessarily going to school. So I dropped out of school. I think I need to do this, like recording at the same time talking here. That would be cool. So anyways, as I was formatting for these videos, and then I uploaded them, right? I ended up fixing my camera. The camera is working now. It's fine. Now, as soon as I was uploading these footages from the car, which was filmed in the car at some point, then I was gonna upload them on YouTube and upload them on my computer, then to YouTube. I Not something. I received another notification from Associated Press that it says that on Saturday, Donald Trump will be sending the CBP, Customs and Border Protection agents to North Carolina and Charlotte. I don't know the difference between CBP and ICE in Immigration Custom Enforcement, but the CBP will be sent to Charlotte on Saturday to do migration raid. There are more than 150,000 migrants. I don't know if those migrants are documented or undocumented. That's something that I have no clue about. But based on the news, and this also comes from one of the senator, the representative of Charlotte, North Carolina, that there are more than 150,000 migrants within Charlotte, North Carolina. I used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I do still have my families over there, my address, everything is there. And you know, it's a city that has seen a huge growth, and that growth has been successful thanks to a large number of migrants, most of them from different countries in South America, Africa, and people have been moving in large numbers. The city is growing. Before it used to be a small town, now it's growing bigger. And many migrants who migrate from like whatever country they come from to big cities, right? New York City, California, Chicago. These cities are very expensive. Then, especially, Chicago. Sometimes DC here. Miami is one of them. The whole California is expensive, and then of course, in what other cities? New York City, of course, New Jersey, those areas. So once they arrive in these big cities, the choice is to migrate in the area where they can have a cheaper life, cheaper rent, and then there are lots of jobs in factories and manufacturing. So Trump sending troops or whatever they call them, CBP, to this city is going to jeopardize the economy of this area. The locals, I think they are anti-migration. I've spoken to people who are local, people like from the area. They are very skeptical. I've had many mixed feedback on it, but I hope that people will be safe. I don't know what I can do in that city. I hope that there won't be no drama to that, because people are planning to protest. By this Saturday, they will be sending troops over to North Carolina to do a migration raid. That's what I know. That's what I just read right now on Associated Press. Now, that being said, let me move on to today's video, which is the budget. The budget has been passed and is now in action. What does that mean? That means that the federal workers will be getting paid until January. Those who got fired, they can still get paid until January, because they are not getting paid this year, this under shutdown. But those who are fired, they will still be fired, because there's still court cases going on. Everything's slowed down because of the shutdown. The Medicare won't be funded, unfortunately. They won't be one of the biggest hurdle that has been happening in this budget and shutdown was that the Democrats passed a bill or something like that back in 2020 during COVID. And this bill was to subsidize the Medicare system, healthcare system. So drug manufacturers could make drugs, then they could charge a much higher prices because they are being subsidized. So they don't really have to care. It's like if I make drugs, like, I don't know, COVID-19 vaccine, and then I'm supposed to charge $10, then the government subsidizes me, I can just charge $20. I can double the price. That is the assumption, but also that is the fact. That is true, because in tour delivery, you cannot just like businesses and investors and CEOs, they can't sit down and be like, oh, let's be nice and subsidize. Like, like if the government says we're going to pay 20% of the price, corporation might not, they're not going to say, let's cut the price too. They're going to just increase the price. They're going to add the subsidies, then add the extra price on it. So it's called double subsidies. So the one of the biggest challenges that was happening in the House was that the bill which was passed during COVID, I think it was an emergency declaration or something like that. It was gonna end. It's still gonna end. Still gonna be cut off, but the new budget was supposed to cut off completely if it was to pass without any shutdown. So that was the main issue, right? The argument in the House was that this bill cannot pass because it does not include the does not fund that emergency healthcare or whatever that is. And when it got passed during COVID, many people relied on it. People used it for their medical purposes, for medical treatment. So it was very helpful. Actually, the number that are using this medical bill is 2 million people, right? That means too many people will lose the healthcare subsidies once this bill is given enough. So that was the main argument. Is not this video does not give the whole picture of it, but that's like the main idea. That's like the main reason why they were arguing and not passing anything. And there are always other things too, but that was the main one. So now that is passed, but Donald Trump and his administration, the other things that they refunded, I talked about this before. The bill contains $50 billion for 5 years. That means each year, this money goes to the rural America, because rural America is the most struggling one. I made a video before where rural North Carolina, people in North Carolina struggle to afford Medicare, medical expenses, and not because they cannot afford it. They cannot afford it for sure, but also they live in such type of neighborhoods that they can easily get sick. Like some neighborhoods are okay, some areas need more attention from the government. That's just the main problem here. So anyway, as the government is trying to pass the fund, when the administration came up with the bill, they made sure that the rural America gets $50 billion in 5 years. Each year is gonna be $10 billion for rural America. That was actually double the number from the previous one. So I think that's why the Republicans were arguing that we cannot do double subsidies, because they use the keyword double subsidies. But Democrats were saying, we cannot end this, this has to stay, etc., etc. There are other things that are used by these medical bills, these medical stuff, because it's passed by the Democrats. There are things that you can do with it. So, for example, you can do abortion with it, right? You can do other things with it. In the meantime, the Republican bills or Republican money, you cannot do abortion, right? And it goes to the hospitals that supports that are anti-abortion, like those things, right? Like very crazy. And there's more things too, but that was like the main idea. Anyway, now it's past, and you may be asking yourself, because I've talked to people who are not into DC kind of politics, they don't care, and you may ask yourself, like, why is this a problem? Why is this a big of a deal? Because when the government doesn't hire people, or when the government shuts down, cuts the funding, people who are supposed to be working in that field, that specialty, they move to other areas, they move to other places, and then eventually what you're supposed to be doing gets affected. So if somebody went to school for behavior analysis, they're supposed to work with the mental health of the United States, but then they get fired, we might see more like crimes going up, or people like that usually work in a hospital, or sometimes they work in psychiatric, and they are counselors, sometimes they work in a prison, right? But when they get fired, they won't be those services. That's just one thing. Now another thing is that because when the government shut down, people just had to quit. They quit their jobs from working in the government, and these people have 10, 15, 20 years of experience working in the government. When they quit, do you know where they go? They go to private sector. They start looking for jobs in the private sector, and people like me who are looking for jobs in the private sector, we cannot compete. Government has been stable for many years, like for years. It's been a place where you go to work and you stay in there for many years, like for life, until you die. In fact, Nancy Pelosi, she did not leave until recent, but she was in power for a long time because it's stable. Government is stable, the job is easy, so they stick around. When these people got fired, they take all the experiences to the private sector. Now, private sector is sensitive when it comes to hiring government employees. So, for instance, if you are a government employee, you get laid off, and you apply in a Gen Z environment. So, like you're 50 years old or 40 years old, and you apply for a job in a company like, I don't know, Google, Facebook, right? And then the hiring manager is a Gen Z, they're not going to hire you. Like, these people are just anti-government. But somebody working in a Google is 50 years old, 40 years old, and especially if it's a white person, you get a job, automatically get a job, because they have that mentality that you are like better, like you're smart and all those things. So because of, I mentioned last time, I don't know why I'm getting bugs in here. Like, what is this doing here? What are you doing here, buddy? How do you get out? How do bugs get inside? Windows closed. So anyway, when what was I saying? When these people go out there to work in private sector, these government employees, they compete with the younger people like me who are looking for jobs as an entry level, and it gets really hard. It gets really hard for us to compete. They don't get a job for sure. It doesn't mean that life is easy for them. I know many of them who are living this year right now, who are diplomats, who have served in foreign officers, right? Intelligent community, military, like they have a lot of experiences, but they got laid off. It does not mean that it's easy for them. They're just not gonna walk at Google and be like, hey, give me a job. Like, it's not that easy. However, because there are people out there with more years of experience, corporations become more selective. They start to pull back. They start to choose. They start to pay whatever they want, right? Because they have a lot of people who are experienced who just got laid off who wants to apply, and these people, in the government, in the US, in the federal government, they have what they call general service, and you start off from like 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 until 15. The more you move up, the more you make. So a lot of people who've been in this government for like 20 years, they make like $200,000 a year, which is a lot of money. And very few companies will pay you to make that much money. Like very few companies will pay you that. Even at Google, Facebook, Meta, AWS, right? Banks, very rare can you make that much money unless you have like an MBA or a PhD and you have years of experience and you have done like a lot of work, like a lot of revenue. Like you've been like an executive or some kind of something to be hired. So these people, when they come in as they don't know that they are fresher, right? Because usually in the private sector, when you quit a job and you come back, you start afresh. You quit a job, got another job, start afresh. You could negotiate. You could negotiate and try to get some good deal, but ultimately you could definitely end up getting bombarded with lower paying jobs or turn around. So this issue makes it harder for young people, young professionals to get a job in the private sector because you have more of experienced circulation of experiences in the market. So this has been one of the biggest challenges for this year so far, as far as I know. But anyways, another challenge is that these federal workers, they consume, they buy houses, they go out, because they have stable jobs. They've been spending more money, right? When you have stable job, stable income, people are going to pay taxes because these people get paid through taxes. They get paid by taxpayers, right? And you cannot evade taxes. You could stop consuming, you could stop buying cars and everything, but you cannot stop paying taxes. So these people, they knew there's going to be revenue coming up, right? So they were stable. But when they got fired, things sort of changed, right? Because now they start to back up. They stopped consuming. They stopped, spending, right? So that jeopardizes the economy. When people are not spending, people working the jobs that they need spending, they quit. So for example, if federal workers spend money in restaurants, going out, vacations, holidays, they have a bunch of holidays. When they stop doing that, people working in those fields, they quit or they get fired. When they get fired or they get laid off, they also jump into the market of more experienced people. And then you find a lot of people with all kinds of experiences, all of them searching for one specific job. Okay, so there's no varieties. You have one group of people looking for one specific job. That is what we see right now. So that's why I've been praying so hard to have the government to reopen. Another thing that needs to be known here, when the government shuts down, the largest employer in the United States is the federal government. Federal government employs more people, right? Because it spends so much money in the military. One of our largest expenditure goes to military, right? Security, national security. So you have to support the president, support the secret services, national intelligence, weapons, the national aid, right? So on top of that, the federal government hires more people, like a lot of people. So it's the largest employer in the US and in the world. Actually, in the world, it's the largest employer. So because of that, there are a lot of bureaucratic contractors going on. So you give me a contract, I give a contract, they give contract, they give contract. So you have subcontracting going on in the government. Everybody's getting a penny from the government, which is good. Like it boosts the economy, things goes on, right? It's fine. But when you cut a budget or you have a government shutdown, all these contractors they are affected, right? I mentioned the last time how somebody who's a teacher at the Rock High School in Alabama may not think about it, but maybe the person who put a kid in that Rock High School may have voted for Donald Trump. That person works at a manufacturing company like Tesla, but Tesla relies on EV mandates, right? They have to get some money from EV mandates, they have to get some tax credit. Trump comes in and he cuts EV mandates. That person in the factory gets laid off, no job. Now they realize, oh wait, what a minute, I was actually connected by the government. I was benefiting from the government. I just didn't know. It's called indirect benefit. So it is what we see right now. And when that happens, it jeopardizes the economy, makes the economy really bad, and eventually making things lagging. Like we see right now, everything's lagging. 0 jobs have posted. There's no new job being created, right? The Federal Reserve Bank might reduce the interest rate so people can borrow, but overall it's just gonna be really tough. So, but with the budget getting passed, we could see some employees who will return back to the government, start working. We could see things getting back to normal. Trump has already reduced the tariffs for China, so he might even do that even more, even reduce more tariffs, which would eventually allow the prices to go down in some areas as Thanksgiving is approaching. So anyways, that is the updates of the bill that was passed. Honestly, I'm excited. Last time I visited, I made a video, check that out. When I was in DC, it looked bored, nobody was there. So anyway, that was like the main scary part. And I'm happy that I visited one time, and the next 2 days it got reopened. So it's a blessing to have. It's also a blessing to be able to have that thing passed and moving on, because we all get affected. Food stamps will be also funded until January. What I don't know is if this bill is gonna go. Usually they pass a new bill every year. It's supposed to be every year, but because this bill this budget got passed now, which is in November, technically we have like 1 month. Maybe next year they'll pass another bill. They have to pass another bill next year. But overall, it's very critical. It's very fascinating on how these things works, right? Other than that, it's 4 p.m. and 8 minutes. My professor canceled the class, so I don't have a class today, thankfully. That being said, I can talk right now on this camera as much as I want. Also, I just got a new SD card which can record up to 10 hours. So I can record on this card up to 10 hours. It's such a blessing. So I'm happy for it, and I'm excited to use this SD card. But other than that, that's all I have to share. Again, I was supposed to attend the webinar. I wanted to show this webinar to some people on the video. The webinar is from Brookings Institute, and it discusses about the AI and the data centers around the United States. But I missed the web now because I was working on my camera and everything. But that's all for today. I just want to say that people in Charlotte, North Carolina, who will be affected by migration in on Saturday, I will pray for them. I will pray for them. Hopefully that they will eventually, find comfort, find peace, and get to call this wonderful, beautiful country home. Because people move for a reason. People move to improve their lives. People move for curiosity. There was a Chinese lady on social media, on Instagram, there was a Chinese lady on this Facebook page, and she was asked by her viewer that why do you find Chinese everywhere? Why do Chinese have to go overseas? And she gave really good reasons. Number one, she said that China does not actually have people outside China. Chinese don't travel outside their country because there are more than 1 billion people in China, and only 9% of 90% of those people are outside China. So 9% of all the Chinese in the country, they are outside. So that's like very small number of people out of billions of people. So technically, Chinese don't really go out their country, and that was a good point. But she made another point which is very important. She said Chinese go outside their country because they are trying to find a better opportunity. The question was, why do Chinese move out of the country when China is doing great? Then she said that Chinese move because they're looking for a better opportunity. They think that China, there's so much competition, right? People compete each other for jobs, compete for an opportunity, compete to go to school. So she mentioned that people move outside China because they think that mentality, that competitiveness that they have, mathematics, physics, engineering, like they don't do art, they don't do music, they compete. They don't do talent, they compete in like the most high level stuff, right? So they think that if they go outside their country, they can easily succeed. They can easily, if a Chinese comes to the United States and they see how American is doing nothing, they don't care about the opportunities, they don't care about new jobs. They will just sort of, what can I say? They will just jump in, use that competitive mindset, and succeed. That's how actually I came to the United States. When I came to the United States, I had that mentality of competitiveness. I was like very competitive, hardworking. Because I used to work in construction in Africa, in Uganda. I used to work in construction. If you don't do your job, if you're lazy in construction, you're fired. The other people are looking for a job, so they can take the job over. So you have to be competitive, you have to work harder. Similarly with United States and China. Chinese migrate to other countries because other countries are less competitive, so they can compete. So when she mentioned that, I think that was a good point. Another point was social welfare. People move to another country because they can retire there and be taken care of. Right, that was another point. The last point was, which was very important, she said it was curiosity, right? Chinese are like another humans. They are curious. They want to know what's happening in other countries, so they want to travel there, and this is what's going on. So speaking of this lady's comments on social media, it goes to show that migrants, they move for a reason. People migrate for a reason. It could be curiosity, it could be social welfare, it could be the opportunity, right? Because poor countries, poor people compete each other. There is so much competition for the resources. This is like economic 101. People compete for the resources, right? They compete for everything. And there's a scarcity of money, scarcity of land, scarcity of food, scarcity of water. scarcity of everything. So when they move, it's because they are moving in an area where they see the opportunity, they see what could satisfy them, right? That's the only reason people move. And if they move and their dreams are shattered, like what we see here in the United States, like that is not impressive. Like that is not good. But there's another point here that I want to make. People move for safety, right? In areas like South America, Haiti, South America, Colombia, right? People experience gang activity, gang attacks, kidnapping, human trafficking, right? Those things are real in those countries. In Africa and the Middle East, people move because they're experiencing political pressure, political violence, right? Similar with South America, kidnapping, right? So when they move to the area like the United States, it's because they see safety. They could have gone somewhere else. They could have gone to another country, right? But they choose an area where they see safe. They feel like they're safe. And I was thinking earlier, maybe we should give these people documentations, right? Instead of spending money to deport them, spend that money giving them documents. But then I realized, Republicans accuse migrants for being criminal, right? And when you're a criminal, you cannot obtain legal status. So it's very hard to defend this kind of argument, especially when one person does a crime. It affects everybody, right? We saw the other guy last time who was a member of MS-13 gang community. He has a tattoo, and that was made a big deal of it. So anyway, at the end of the day, to wrap this up, is that on Saturday, Trump will send the CBP officers in Charlotte, North Carolina. And for me, I've talked my research paper coming up. And Washington DC has their budget passed, so we're gonna get back on track eventually, hopefully start working. Other than that, that's all I have for today. This is enough 53 minutes video, and like always, I will be back on this camera on this right here tomorrow on Friday, November 14. Other than that, thanks for watching. Like always, I will see you tomorrow. Ciao ciao, bye bye.